Welcome back to this week's episode of SPAR with the Brothers. Glad you guys decided to join us. On my right, I have my main man, Jay Blaze. Jay, how you feeling today?
Hey, if I was in the bed, it'd be two of me. I'm so happy to be sitting between two ordinary guys with extraordinary intellect and life experiences.
Excellent.
Yes,
and
sir.
to my far right, I have my main mahente, Mr. Castle King. How you doing, Castle King?
Blessed and highly favored, my brothers. Glad to be here with the two awesome gentlemen here.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, I got an awesome shout out. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
sir.
As always, I'm Coach O, here with you this week on SPAR with the Brothers. And if you don't know, SPAR stands for Sports, Politics, and Religion.
Yeah.
Those are some topics that we decided to talk about. I'll tell you a little bit about the show. I don't know if we've ever introduced the show properly,
Nah.
but we all work together. And in our context of working together, we started arguing. And then that arguing became this show, which is SPAR with the Brothers. So each week we try to bring the different topics of the day, the different information that's on the tip of your tongue that you want to tell someone at work, but you don't ever get a chance to do it. So that's how we are here this week. So unfortunately, this week we do not have any sports going on. So we're going to talk a little bit about some crowns and clowns that we're going to be passing out this week in the media. So I'll let you go first, Jay Blaze. Who are you giving a crown to, or who are you putting a clown nose on?
I put away my crown, and I got my clown nose for someone in sports.
Okay.
Jonathan Bones Jones. I am very disturbed about this young man.
Okay.
And to say the least, he had a fast rise after kind of struggling to get into the type of colleges you want to get into. And I was very impressed with this man early on in his career, but he just can't get out of his own way. And it's very disappointing for a guy who has it all to continuously blow it. This guy, from what I'm hearing, just got arrested again for suspicion of driving under the influence. Also, apparently he didn't have the right paperwork. Apparently he had a gun with him. So this is something, before he hit someone before.
Right.
And, he took off and, the UFC kind of paid their money and did what they had to do to get him an opportunity to get out of the situation. But I'm just disappointed. And to be honest, I'm the biggest John Jones fan. I remember when he first came to UFC. I can't really roll with this dude no more.
Wow.
I can't do it. And it's tough for me to say because I'm loyalty over everything unless we talk about the queen, but that's nobody's business. But I just can't do it no more. I'm just tired of people giving them away opportunity after opportunity.
And there's a lot of fighters out there that would love to have that spotlight, love to have that, those paychecks that Mr. Jones is continuously cashing in. So, I'll tell you this. He needs to take a note from Maurice Clarett. He almost had the same thing happen.
Yeah.
Adam Pac-Man Jones. Both of those athletes turned their lives around.
Yep.
So sounds like he needs a good mentor.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to sign up for that?
No.
Okay, you can be on the payroll.
No. He has two brothers that are great mentors.
Two brothers, the Jones brothers help your brother out.
They both
literally
won the Super Bowl. He has a father that's a pastor. And this is very disappointing for a young man that a lot of people put their name, reputation, and finances behind to give him another opportunity. I'm hoping this is a bad mistake and maybe I have to take the clown nose back, but hey, you know what? It's probably not. So, Dominique Reyes, new champion.
Reyes, new champion. Castle King, your turn. Who you got? You got a clown nose or do you got a crown to put on someone this week?
I want to put a crown on the healthcare workers in the industry right now that are stepping up their game out there. They're unsung heroes right now. They're putting their lives literally at risk. So, I was going to put my life at risk, the same thing. So I want to give a crown to all the nurses, the doctors out there, all the other workers that are holding it down that have to be the essential employees. So definitely want to crown them.
No, absolutely. Prayers to the city of New York. What's going on there is just heart-wrenching. You see in reading these stories, nurses working double shifts, going home or sleeping in the break rooms because they don't want to go home and expose their families. Just God bless them. God bless everyone that's working through it, not just New York, across the country.
All across.
But in the
globally.
Globally, the heavenliest hit cities. So, wow. Got that. I am going to give a giant clown nose to a guy apparently in a monkey suit.
Hold on, Coach O have on his angry pants today?
I am. I'm going to say a little something that's been on my mind for a few weeks.
Talk to him.
I'm putting my clown nose on one Andrew Gillum.
Oh, no, he didn't.
He said
believe it or not, this has been one of the biggest disappointments, one of the biggest letdowns. And not for the reason you're possibly thinking about.
Facts.
The fact that he got arrested or didn't get arrested, was in a room is... okay, whatever. We all make mistakes. We all get a little... What I'm most upset about is the fact that he refuses to acknowledge who he really is.
True.
And what he needs to do is he needs to have a come to Jesus moment, literally, and say, this is who I am, and I'm going to tell my family that I've chosen to live an alternative lifestyle. Okay. I'm not going to continue to live a lie. I'm going to tell all of my fans that this is a decision that I've made, that I'm comfortable who I am. Okay. By faking it, what you're actually doing is being disrespectful to everyone who is in that lifestyle, who chooses to live that life and chooses to be out in the open. The fact that you feel in 2020 you can't be an openly gay black man is a problem for me. Because if you are, then be that and let people accept you or reject you. The fact that you're faking it makes it seem as though there's something wrong or some type of shame that you're trying to cast on that. And that's a whole nother conversation that he needs to have with himself.
Is he from Atlanta?
Man, no, he was actually born in Miami.
We just lost all of our viewers. Anyway,
unfortunately, he was born in Miami. Coach, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Do you think he did a disservice to his family, his kids, and his relatives, because it seemed almost like that maybe he wasn't taking them into consideration?
I mean, I don't want to trace where he went wrong in this whole story. I mean, the reality is this. If he were able to accept who he was from the very beginning, then he would have never had that family. He would have chosen a completely different path. Right. So, again, when you take that vow, when you make that promise, you're making a promise to hold true to that character. Right. And by not doing that, by having to sneak around in a hotel room with 2 male escorts, that is not only is that disrespectful, that's disrespectful to everyone who chooses to step out front in front of the screen and say, this is who I am.
Yeah. And the reason I just went that way, and I'm not trying to hijack your clown him, is because I think it was a political foray that he got in with that whole aspect. So I kind of wanted to know what you think. He was a superstar in high school, a superstar in college, one of the youngest mayors out there on the city council. This guy was doing his thing, and it's unfortunate to see someone, and to be honest, I didn't agree with a lot of his politics, but it's unfortunate to see someone young and that talented kind of just dash away his dreams by not really confessing to me who he really is, which is none of my business.
Squeak on that clown nose.
Yeah, well, again, back with the clown nose, all I'm saying is to thy own self be true. So Andrew Gillum, here's your opportunity after you get out of this mysterious rehab to talk to your family and figure out exactly what's going on. And I'm going to give the media, as they like to say, the lamestream media, I'm going to give you guys a pass because of the COVID-19.
Fake news.
But the fact that you're not covering this, the fact that you're not putting him out,
fake news.
Makes me believe that there is a little bias.
No
there.
pass,
so,
fake news.
Other than that, guys, again, we don't have very much sports to cover this week, but tune in to our next segment. It's going to get a little bit spicy. I'm wearing a shirt for it. You guys will see exactly what I'm talking about here in a few minutes. Okay. On behalf of Castle King, Jay Blaze, I'm Coach O. We'll see you guys in the next segment.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for our last segment of SPAR with the Brothers. And things about to go a little sideways. Once again, OJ Blaze got the conspiracy hat on right now. You may hear all types of things, but keep an open mind and an open heart and open ears, and I think you're going to be blessed with this segment. It's a lot of things been going on lately. We have locusts. We have earthquakes in different places. We have the Pope having a meeting set up in May. Mm-hmm. We have a coronavirus. We have a possible vaccine with DNA that may information that may interact with our DNA. And then we have ID 2020. And last week we had a big ruckus because I asked the question, is the mark of the beast on its way or is it coming? And we kind of had to end the episode, and this is part 2 of it because we're going to maybe talk a little bit about that. But the first thing I want to know is this a sign that the antichrist is on his way? Or even more scarier, is the antichrist here and making himself known already? So I'm going to throw it over to Castle King. Castle King has been doing a lot of homework. We want to hear what you have to say, Castle King.
Well, as far as what we're looking at here, I mean, if your eyes aren't telling you and your heart is not connecting with that to see what's actually happening here, unlike my friend to the left of me saying that these are all happening since World War I, we obviously know that these are not factual statements on there. You being quarantined, the globe being quarantined, the global pact that we're doing, the one world citizen, the ID 2020, these are all things that have been already spoken of, as I said before, within the Bible, and things that are leading to a one world system. It doesn't look like a one world system to you. I'm not sure what it is. All the global leaders are all doing the same thing, so everyone in the world is doing the same thing. Everyone's rights are being taken away, so we all are in-house until they say what we can do. Instead of being outside, there's no evidence or anything proven to that as far as what we can do. So on that aspect, we are in the end times towards the Revelations. We are in Revelations based off my research, what the Bible says and what we can do ourselves.
Okay. Yep.
We are in tribulations. We are in there right now. Based off what I'm looking for and what I've seen, I think that the Antichrist has revealed himself.
Oh.
So I believe the Antichrist is already not around, or who, and speculation. There's other options out there, but the Antichrist has revealed himself. Not because of any political agenda or anything, but I believe it is DT, the president in hand right now from the United States.
You got DT? Okay.
Yeah. And the only reason I'm saying that is because biblical events have all lined together. And if it doesn't line up together, then you can't just start picking anyone out. They've thought it from Obama, the Pope, which these are all players in the game, which we can elaborate later, but I would say it's Donald Trump.
We're going to get back to you in a moment with just some of the events, and I don't want to, Coach O has a lot to say about that. He's been waiting patiently. Coach O.
Yes, sir.
Is the Antichrist on his way? Is the Antichrist here? Or what Castle King's talking about is a bunch of nothing, much to do about nothing, to be honest.
As a kid, when I was growing up in church, they always would show that movie like A Thief in the Night.
Yes, I remember that.
And they had the whole series of tribulations, and they've been preaching this since that day. Growing up, I've heard from Mikhail Gorbachev to Obama to everyone has been the Antichrist. It was JFK before.
Okay.
There's always been this constant zeal for the end times to be our times.
Okay.
At the original day, the actual apostles thought that Christ was coming back in their lifetime.
Right.
So there's always been this feeling that the Antichrist was just around the corner. And as funny as I want to make it, unfortunately, people are dying because of our current occupant of the White House. But the reality is this: is if we spent as much energy and as much time in loving each other and loving on each other, then when those end days happen, it won't matter for us because we won't be here. So, that's what I always find funny that people, want to talk about, we're in the end times. What does it matter? Why don't you just work on saving and leading as many people to the Father as possible? And then when that trumpet sounds, guess what? We on the highway. And if not, if our turn comes and it's time to meet our Maker, then we meet our Maker. But this overzealousness of wanting to be in the end times is a very, very, very self-righteous thing.
Is it dangerous as well?
It's a dangerous thing because it's a dangerous thing because of this.
Okay.
The moment that you're wrong, you lose all credibility.
That's facts.
And losing credibility means that you are lying.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Losing credibility is saying that, no, it means you're basically lying. And
would lying be too harsh, or would it be mistaken?
No, it's lying. You're lying because of your own ego to say that this must be the reality. And so if you're wrong in 5 years and DJT wasn't the Antichrist, then what are you going to say? Then the next one, it's definitely got to be this one.
So we're going to toss it back to Castle King because he mentioned some events. And just for the record, before I toss it back to Castle King, do you think that old Donald J. Trump is the Antichrist?
I think Donald J. Trump is the worst human being to walk the planet in the sense of existence.
Oh, we know that.
But unfortunately, there's one title he doesn't get to have.
He doesn't get to have that one?
And he doesn't get to have that one. It's something much more sinister.
The devil?
No, his son.
Wow. Jeez. Well, things just kind of went sideways here. Castle King, you said you had some events here to kind of walk us down the path of old DT, Donald J. Trump, by now is what we all been mentioning his name about, that he's the Antichrist. So let's go for it.
But before I go into giving you the actual knowledge that you can search for and do yourself, Christ said if you were lukewarm, he would vomit you from his mouth.
Facts.
That is a statement of what lukewarm Christian is. That's a definition of what that is there.
We'll take that.
Hug someone without using any biblical
that one just
context.
Flew past me.
If you have any biblical context, not only are you supposed to love your neighbor as what he's affirming to, you're supposed to guide your neighbor and work through it together. He also said if someone is not of the walk, you remove yourself from that. All right, so that's what the difference. You can't just hug everybody to death and think that you're automatically going to be in the rapture. Okay, if there is a rapture. We are in tribulations right now, so if you thought a rapture was going to happen, you're already off the rocker. You're already off on the timing. Okay, all right, so things that have happened besides that Mr. DT, what's his face, is the deceiver is because there's things that have already happened.
Okay.
All right, so if you look, the Jewish people have already coined the coin out there for the temple.
Okay.
Donald Trump is on the coin on there. It's been 70 years, which it says biblically that's going to happen. They named him as Cyrus, and if you don't know, Cyrus was the one who helped build the third temple. So they say they already love him as he is the second coming of Christ himself or God himself. That's from their word. That's from their words. If you could look it up yourself as well. All right. So 70 years was from 48 when Israel was named a state, and 70 years to that time frame is when he led, saying that he was going to move to Jerusalem over as a state.
Got you. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna put just a little pushback. Number one, and we'll debate this another day, but in Deuteronomy chapter 28, it talked about the people, the original people of that land, and what they went through over in the world, and where they would be, and how they went into slavery, and the people who moved back there in 1948, in my belief, as a more of a political stance, where Harry Truman kind of went against Britain and acknowledged Israel as a country, which I'm not going to argue that Israel has always been a people, by the way, not a country, but that's another debate for another show. 1940 is a false date because those are not the original people of that land. King Nasser of Egypt in 1950 said, they asked him, where did you start having a problem with the Jews and the Israelites? He said, when they left black and came back white. So that's just one of my things I want to push back on. The other thing is about King Cyrus. Now, what most people don't know is that King Cyrus, if you go to Isaiah chapter 45, verse 1, is the only non-Jew that God called anointed, that he anointed him. In that prophecy, he talks about anointing King Cyrus and holding his right hand and giving him victory over all these armies. Through the Bible, it talks about who God's put in place, whether we're in captivity or not in captivity. Also, King Cyrus is more known for being a guy who embraced and endorsed people to keep their culture and their religion. Mm-hmm. He was one of the first kings to understand how to politically motivate his people. Mm-hmm. He was one of the first kings to understand how to make it work out for the economy and not. Nebuchadnezzar tried to use for lack of better words, I'm not going through Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Daniel, use them to teach the Babylonian culture. But Cyrus was the complete opposite. Not only that, but he actually fulfilled the prophecy by Jeremiah because he actually listened to God and freed the children of Israel to go back and build a temple in Jerusalem as it was prophesied. Yeah, but here's the equation that they have for Donald Trump. Number one, that coin was not made by the government. Mm-hmm. nor filled by the government.
The people responsible for
it was actually made to make money for an educational school and a religious school to help people repatriate back to Israel. So it has no connection with the government. How those people see Donald Trump, they see him very similar, and I'm not saying this is actual, they see him very similar to Cyrus as a man that God used to fulfill a prophecy when he built the embassy over there.
You heard that.
Now, right. You heard it correctly. Osiris was anointed in the Old Testament.
And that's why the Antichrist is an anti-Cyrus. So he's not going to be an exact...
Antichrist does not mean you're anti-Christian. If you read 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, Antichrist actually means that you're against all gods. If you read that verse, and also when you read in Daniel, I believe it's chapter 7, but I know it's in Daniel, the Antichrist is going to be against all gods. And I'm going to close off with this, and I'll give it back to Castle King, because he wants to be worshipped himself. So he's going to be above all gods, whether it's Islam, Hindu, or what have you. He wants one world government. He wants one world finances, and he wants one military. Mm-hmm. And by the way, as much as like DT in some aspects, he has to be someone that's going to be able to bring the entire world together. Just in 2018, he's not doing that. He can't bring a country together. He ain't bringing the world together. And he's not really smooth with the words. And to be honest, he's not really that smart. He's more emotional. All that's pointers because you can find it in Daniel. You can find that in 2 Thessalonians. You can find that in Revelation chapter 13.
All this is that
you
can find that
all over the Bible, what the Antichrist is supposed to be. It's not anti-Christian. Mm-hmm. This person is going to be anti-God.
Okay.
So
who said he's not going to do that?
This is why it's the pushback.
Well, he's already gone. If you look at biblical times of what he's supposed to be matching up on, he's already matched up on it. They've already dedicated the Third Temple altar in 2018. All right, he's already the one that on Hanukkah. These were all done on Hanukkah. If you look 2017, 2018, and 2019, all these events were done at that same time frame. He's already completed. He spoke blasphemies against himself. He's raised himself as the Most High.
Could you give me an example of a blasphemy he spoke against himself?
He said that he is a chosen one on the same time frame that it says in the Bible. He said it on there.
So my point and perspective on that is that Castle King is not doing the entire quote. He intimated that everyone, I'm going to get back to Coach O, he intimated that all the other presidents before him refused to deal with China.
That's not what he said.
So that's what he said.
No,
you can watch
I am the chosen one. I am the one who's going against China.
I'm not cutting you off.
We can listen
to the tape after.
Nothing about any of the presidents.
He said, I've been the chosen one.
I am.
I have no problem with that.
I am.
Check this out. I would have no problem with that.
While he was looking up to the heaven, is that right?
Okay, well, you're going to keep cutting me off. I'll let you do
you want to answer it right.
All right, so
do it justice.
I'm going to do it justice. Okay, so he was looking up into heaven. I'm going to agree with him even though I don't agree with him. He was looking to the heavens, I'm the chosen one. The Bible says God has chosen every leader. So just like I just showed you in Isaiah chapter 45, he chose a leader to keep those people in slavery. However, there's nothing wrong with saying you're chosen. The Bible says many are called and few are chosen. The Bible calls Jesus the anointed one. He never called himself the anointed one. And again, this is a guy who's actually wrote an executive order for believers of all faith to be able to talk about their faith. And for believers,
so why is he on the
hold
coin?
on a second.
Why is he on the coin?
He's on the coin because someone, it's not a Sanhedrin.
The Sanhedrin, they're exactly that.
It's an actual school. Don't try and change the subject because I'm getting ready to finish this
because
you're
not finishing the topic.
I've already answered that. The government didn't endorse it.
Sanhedrin, they're the ones that are responsible
for the
third temple. You're going to make one school,
and they put them on Castle King, you're going to make one school representative of Israel. You can't do that. That's being disingenuous.
They're the ones that are in charge of the temple.
Back to my point, a person that's fighting against abortions, that's nominating a whole bunch of people for the Supreme Court, which is something of faith, right? That doesn't sound like somebody that's opposing a God in general. This is a guy who's passing. He doesn't believe in Coach O, I'm just going to ask you a yes or no question.
He doesn't believe in God.
Is this guy, does he have an agenda that pushes religion? Donald Trump, yes or no?
Donald Trump's religion is money.
Well, and that could be true, but is he? How is he selecting his Supreme Court justices?
He's pandering to a fake evangelical.
Okay, fine. So
you heard it first.
He's pushing towards Christians, right? He don't believe in that. Okay. But so Coach, I just gave you some example that it's an actual school.
Now that you
it's
said
not endorsed.
Okay.
The money is not even in circulation, by the way. You send $70 and you can get that half shekel or real shekel.
Okay, what does it have? So if you're looking at it, now that you said what you had to say, the Sanhedrin made that coin with him.
They're not the Sanhedrin. It's a school.
Wait, with Cyrus.
It's not a Sanhedrin.
Anyway,
it's a school.
Trump is on the coin with Cyrus.
Right.
And in the Bible, who does it say the Antichrist? It says the mouth of a lion with wings of an eagle. On that, what is Trump's logo? A lion. What is on the coin? A lion and an eagle on there. And in the back of the coin is the third temple, which was they already sacrificed a lamb in 2018. So if you want to look at that, these are biblical stuff that it says was passing through.
At this point,
anything that he says, he's creating an old temple that is not giving you any direction of who and how the
at this point, when you're looking at, if you're reading Isaiah 45 and you equating Donald Trump.
So when do you say it's coming? When do you say it's coming?
If you equating Donald Trump to Cyrus, then he was chosen for a moment like this.
Okay, to fulfill the third temple. So
well, I'm sorry, but
isn't that what the Antichrist is set to do?
Earlier you said Cyrus made the third temple. In your intro, you said Cyrus built the first temple.
He's on the Cyrus coin with the third temple. He's set to build the third temple, which
we're gonna
the Antichrist is set to do.
People, we're gonna go Coach O, but go read Isaiah chapter 45 and find out that he was a real leader.
It ain't just Isaiah. You got to match all of them, which he's already
Thessalonians chapter 2.
Look at the coin. Why would they have Cyrus and he on
It's not the government.
Why would they have
That's not the government.
Why was the third temple already? They put sacrifice.
It's not the government.
Why did they sacrifice the lamb for the third temple?
It's not the government.
Why did they sacrifice?
Coach O, what you got to say, Coach O?
As you guys can see, this is part of the fun that we have at work.
Once again, your soul's at hand. Okay. And I'm jumping in.
Yeah.
Repent.
Once again, you can see this is part of the fun we have at work that we do get to argue about this
Talk
stuff
heavy.
here in reality. Here's the simple facts, folks. And I'm going to try to be the voice of reason.
Facts,
Talk to him nice.
Ask for facts.
This is something that we can all agree on, which is this. Regardless of whether you feel as though Mr. Trump, President Trump, Donald Trump, I'll actually give him the respect of his office, that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is or is not the Antichrist. I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that the time that we're living in is a very challenging time for not only Christians, but for all people on this planet. And whether we believe him to be that way or not, the one thing I think we can all sit back and agree on is that we just need to pray for this country. We need to pray for this world. We need to pray for its inhabitants because
Facts.
everyone is going through a tough and challenging time.
Facts.
Now, it's my heart that everyone had the same peace and saving knowledge that I do, but I know that that's not possible. What I do hope is that I do hope that through this time, people start to seek answers and truths that lead them to a closer relationship with their
Amen.
Creator.
Before it's too late.
Amen.
Well, whether it's too late or not, they have to start somewhere. And by pounding it on their head, it usually isn't the best way to do it. So I'm not going to say I take offense to it.
Well, when your parents spanked you, was that not beating it to you?
Okay.
You got the answer right away. You figured it out. You weren't happy about it, but you got the answer.
Coach O, go ahead.
I'm not saying one way is better than the other. All I'm saying is that if your slight against me, if your anger or your angst towards me is that I'm too nice and I show too much love to people,
No, it's just no direction. You just give no direction. That's the difference. You're a GPS with no signal.
I appreciate your position and your vigor,
Hey.
but all I'm saying is that if your venom towards me is that I'm too nice or I'm too loving to people, then color me whatever you want to.
I already said
but at least I know
signal.
that I'm following the simple commandments, which is love my God and love one another. And if you're gonna get too deep into the weeds, over,
How do you get saved though? I
if
mean,
you
we
get
can
too
extend it for
deep,
now.
if you
How
get
do
too
saved?
deep into the weeds over what temple was or wasn't built or what year it wasn't built or who is and who is the original people, then you're missing the entire point.
No, you're missing it because that's what the Bible tells you to do. The Bible tells you to research. Those who have ears, let them hear. You can't just pick one section of the Bible, just hug people all the time. But I'll tell them, it's an entirety.
As you see, we're not going to get too contentious.
You can't just pick one part of the chapter.
People love the Lord God with all your heart, all your soul.
Read it in its entirety,
and love your neighbor.
Yeah.
As and God is going to bless you. We want to thank you so much for joining us.
You can't love your neighbor because you're in a quarantine.
Platforms.
Don't forget about our platforms.
Social distancing your neighbor.
You can check us out on Facebook. SPARwiththebrothers.com, Instagram. Check us out if you prefer to drive around and hear Spar with the Brothers. Check us out. We're on all the podcast platforms. It's been a privilege to speak in front of you this week. Put your comments down below. Share, like, dislike if you don't really like what we're talking about at this point in time, and tell us what you like.
Wow.
And we can't wait to talk to you next week. Have a great weekend from Coach O, Castle Keen, and Jay Blaze. We out of this.
Be blessed.